Dogman is undoubtedly one of the most famous franchises worldwide, and among its iconic characters stand one of the most beloved villains of all time, PETEY the cat.
Pretty evil!
But do you know how this criminal mastermind evolved throughout the books, games, and the Police Dogs movie?
He's not going to ruin my evil plans to destroy all do-gooders.
Known as the most evil cat of all time, PETEY is the terror of OK City, the setting for Dogman's story. But don't be mistaken, his first appearance wasn't in the books featuring the heroic police dog. In fact, this dastardly feline made his debut in another comic by Dav Pilkey, the creator of Dogman. It happened in the story Super Diaper Baby 2: The Invasion of the Potty Snatchers, released in 2011. In this tale, the assistant of Super Diaper Baby's main villain, the nefarious scientist Dilbert Dinkle, sets out to rob Jim's bank. To achieve this, the villain uses his great invention, the Liquidator 2000, a device that turns walls into water, allowing all the security to vanish and giving the villains full access to the money. Although the cat could already speak like a human, he still walked on all fours like a regular feline. See, PETEY's origin predates the first Dogman book, which came out 5 years later. But this was just the beginning of the long journey for the greatest feline villain of all time. So grab your popcorn, sit back and enjoy, because another Cinewave is starting now. PETEY's story continues in the first Dogman book, released in 2016. The tale begins with Officer Knight and his canine partner Greg getting kicked out of the precinct by the sheriff for putting their dirty feet on the couch. Meanwhile, PETEY and his butler are planning an attack in the park when they spot the two officers and decide to take them out by setting a bomb trap for the duo to disarm. Here, we notice a key difference between the comics and the movie. In the comics, it's an actual bomb that injures the two law enforcers. However, in the movie, the explosion takes place in the park rather than on top of a building, as shown in the trailer. Shortly after, PETEY learns through the news that his park attack inadvertently led to the creation of Dogman. Determined to eliminate the police dog, PETEY hatches another plan involving a giant vacuum cleaner. Predictably, the plan backfires, the machine explodes, and PETEY is arrested. However, for those familiar with the Dogman series, it's clear that a sinister scheme by the city's mayor eventually leads to PETEY escaping from prison. A lot happens in this first book, but let's leave it at that for now, since you'll get to see it in the movie. One interesting aspect of the Dogman comics is that the stories aren't always told chronologically. For instance, PETEY's past is only revealed much later in the series. In Dogman Unleashed, the second book released in December 2016, PETEY is no longer wreaking havoc in the city because he's behind bars. Curiously, however, someone is robbing the town's stores, and a mysterious image shows the thief with legs resembling the villains. When PETEY discovers someone is impersonating him, he decides to escape prison by creating a cardboard cutout of himself. But as with all of PETEY's plans, things take a bizarre turn. His cardboard image accidentally gets sprayed with life spray, and Flat PETEY, a 2D version of himself, comes to life for a brief period. It's fascinating how PETEY's plans always seem to fail. It's almost as if he wants to be a villain, but something deep inside him won't let him. Could it be that PETEY is secretly a good-hearted kitty? The story reveals that PETEY has always craved people's affection, but as we'll learn from his backstory, he's emotionally needy and doesn't know how to earn others' love. In a humorous twist, PETEY uses a love ray to make people like him. However, the plan backfires in spectacular fashion. The only place where people don't follow him is in jail, so the villain ends up locking himself back in prison. In Dogman 2, the big mystery is finally resolved when the shadowy imposter pretending to be PETEY is revealed as another major Dogman villain, a certain fish. Would you have a clone of yourself to handle your tasks? Drop a hashtag clone in the comments and let us know. In Dogman: A Tale of Two Kitties, released in 2017, PETEY manages to escape from prison using balloons given to him by Big Jim. Back in his lab, he commits his biggest mistake as a villain, and perhaps his greatest crime. In the first book, PETEY had a butler, but he fired him for being too slow. After escaping prison, PETEY realized that the lack of a butler left his lab in a messy state, prompting him to seek someone to help clean up and assist with his crimes. Turning to the internet, PETEY purchases a cloning machine. However, he neglects to read the instructions properly, resulting in the creation of Little PETEY. While acts like robbing banks, planting bombs, or building destructive machines are par for the course for a villain, PETEY's cruelest act was abandoning his clone, who was just a child. In Dogman, Dogman and Cat Kid, also released in 2017, PETEY is forced to confront the consequences of his actions. Unfortunately, he still believes his clone, Little PETEY, should follow in his footsteps as a villain. Determined to turn Little PETEY into a criminal like himself, PETEY decides to visit his son, who has been adopted by Dogman. Disguised as a nanny, PETEY takes care of Little PETEY while the canine officer is on duty. PETEY's plan is to bond with Lil by building a robot together. This robot later becomes ADHD. Once he gains the kitten's trust, Petey reveals his true identity, explaining that he disguised himself because the police are after him and he needs help. Lil Petey, eager to help, agrees. Petey assumes this is his chance to train his clone in villainy, but the little cat refuses, insisting on helping him in a different way. In this story, the two characters don superhero costumes, a clever plan by Petey to connect with his clone. This marks the origin of Cat Kid, the hero little Petey eventually becomes, teaming up with Dogman in future adventures. One day, Petey reappears in disguise at the house where Lil Petey is living. This time, however, he's not there to take his clone by force, but to protect him. This is the first time we see Petey genuinely concerned for Lil. At this point in the series, no one knows much about Petey's past, so his struggles as a father remain a mystery. In Dogman Lord of the Fleas, released in 2018, Petey tries to save his clone from Piggy, another villain in the series. To do so, Petey must reveal himself to the police, leading to his arrest once again for the crimes he has committed over the years. At the end of his story, Petey finally admits that he feels something for his young clone. He goes back to prison, but with a promise: to become a better cat. You know what would make you a better person? Subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell. The healing process for Petey's criminal tendencies truly begins in Dogman Brawl of the Wild, also released in 2018. In this story, Petey is granted visitation rights to see Lil Petey while serving his sentence. However, during these conversations, Petey struggles with self-doubt and tells Lil that it might be better for him to stay away. Although this installment doesn't primarily focus on their relationship, there's another subplot involving Dogman. It becomes clear that Lil has touched his father's heart. Petey starts shifting from being a villain with plans to destroy the city to someone genuinely trying to connect with his son, not to turn Lil into a criminal, but to build a real family. In 2019, Dav Pilkey released Dogman, For Whom the Ball Rolls, one of the most shocking books in the series. When Petey learns that many dogs have been pardoned, but he hasn't, the cat becomes furious. Many believe he's about to revert to his villainous ways, but instead, Petey organizes a prison revolution. However, the cat jail warden soon announces that Petey has also been pardoned and is now a free cat. Outside prison, Petey shows Lil Petey the home where they'll live, his old lab, but Lil worries about leaving Dogman behind. Petey tries to explain that everything he's doing to impress and protect Lil stems from his own painful experiences with his father. Fans familiar with the Dogman universe know this refers to Grandpa Crud, Petey's father and one of the series' most fearsome villains. Being the kind-hearted clone that he is, Lil Petey insists they find Grandpa Crud. Reluctantly, Petey agrees, though he's hesitant, and for good reason. Crud is an awful cat who truly deserves the title of the world's worst villain. Lil asks the robot ADHD to locate Petey's estranged father, and the robot complies. To Little, it's time for forgiveness. Petey, however, refuses to forgive his father for abandoning him. Lil counters, saying he too was abandoned by his father, but has always forgiven him. These words resonate deeply with Petey, leading him to attempt reconciliation with Crud. But in a shocking twist, Grandpa Crud admits he never felt love for Petey. This revelation explains why Petey became a villain and highlights the struggles he's faced as a father. Petey's broken relationship with his father was the root of his villainy. His journey shows that he always wanted to be good, but didn't know how. It's worth noting that Lil Petey, as Petey's perfect clone, embodies the inner child Petey abandoned long ago. That inner child needed to be freed, and Lil Petey was the key. From the 8th book onward, Petey's journey continues as he embraces being a good father and even begins forming a friendship with Dogman. Meanwhile, other villains, like Grandpa Crud, continue causing chaos in the city. Now, let's reflect on Petey's character design. Dav Pilkey, the creator of Dogman, intentionally designed Petey as an orange cat because this color is commonly associated with iconic feline characters for children. Examples include Garfield and Puss in Boots from DreamWorks, both beloved by younger audiences. Petey's black stripes were added for a humorous effect, as they resemble a prison uniform, a fitting touch for a character who frequently ends up in jail. Additionally, this detail reinforces the dynamic between Petey and his primary nemesis, Dogman, who represents law and order. From the beginning, Petey's bent tail has been a curious mystery. While this hasn't been fully explained, it's heavily implied to be another crime committed by Petey's father, Grandpa Crud. This suggests there's still much more to uncover about Petey's backstory. And you can count on this channel to reveal all the secrets of Dogman before and after the movie's release in January 2025. In the meantime, enjoy 2 more videos we've handpicked for you. See you in the next one.